Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully, you guys are having a great evening. Making sure my crew's all set up and behind me, and they're all good. But welcome into tonight's live. If you're new to the channel, this is your first time here, or maybe you've been here before and you're just coming back for another round to give me another try. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And thank you to all this returning Titans that come in every evening and you guys join me live. I appreciate you guys more than you even know. I know I'm a lot to handle. I'm here every night, sometimes even during the day. So I know I'm a lot. But I'm glad that you guys are always here. Like you are on YouTube like I am on YouTube. Chronically. Chronically on YouTube. But welcome in, Ladybug and Mary Beth. I saw all the blue up there. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Juno. How are you doing? Hey, Ashley. How's everything going, Ashley? It's good to see you guys. It's good to see everybody. Everybody's just talking in the chat. Michelle, hello. Hey, Sirius. Oh, you're good at hitting the @ sign. I can do it whenever I'm on stream. Not StreamYard, like regular YouTube. I think that I could do the @ then. But if I'm on a regular computer, it's hard for me to do emojis because you have to like click to the left or right click and then go to your emojis, go through your, it's just, I don't know. It's harder than on a phone. Hey, Cole. Hey, Michelle again. So if you ever see me in a chat and I'm not all like emojied out, that's why. I like the emojis though. Hey, Diane. Hey, Aries. I think we're going to get it in 2025. I think we're going to get a little piece of it. I'm hopeful. Hey, Amber. Hey, Groovy Nikki. It's good to see you guys. Hummingbird. I didn't see Hummingbird. There you are. I'm like, wait a minute. Sometimes the ladies remind me if I don't see a name, you guys will remind me whenever you say hi. So Diddy shouldn't have rights. Pepe Longstalking said, yeah, in my opinion, nothing should be private in prison/jail. Yeah, his victims didn't get either. So, yeah, that's what the Fourth Amendment, like the Fourth Amendment, they're saying like unlawful search and seizure. Well, no, it's not. He's in jail. He's in federal custody right now. So, he's in like the top notch jail. So he has no rights. I don't know why people are even saying that he does. Really, like, I mean, you have rights, but you don't. We all know Diddy's a liar and a piece of crap. Yeah. Oh, okay. Then I guess we'll just do BHB's court tomorrow. See you later. Now, just kidding. I saw Aries is yeah. We went over it a little bit on the other channel earlier. I actually had a stroke of genius, I'd like to say. Those two need to get on the same page. They're both saying two different things. So I grabbed an interview from today from BHB because I was going to just play the interview and see how she was doing on, because she has court tomorrow and criminal charges, Well, when I was listening to it, she was talking about the trash truck and how, like, they're that this wasn't a trash truck. There was no trash truck. And I'm like, I could have sworn I heard Seth recently, like, I couldn't remember exactly what interview, but I knew I had heard it recently from an old interview where he said that it was a trash truck. So we just went through them both. That's all it was. We just kind of laughed at Betty a little bit, and you could tell she's a little nervous. Maybe her last day as a free woman for a while. No, I don't think they'll take her to jail tomorrow. They won't do that. They're not going to handcuff her and cart her off to jail. They'll let her make arrangements and do things like that especially because she's in another state, if she gets any jail time at all. So, hey, Thor, Angel of Glass. Hello, welcome in. That's a cute name, Angel of Glass. Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask. My best friend married a corrections officer. He's not just corrections though. Like he's that like SWAT, whatever that they're called. I don't think they're called SWAT, but they're the guys that actually go in and like do like the big like busts, when they're like going in the pods, like you have like a special tactical team. Well, we do where I'm from, our prison did, and he was part of that tactical team, and I was like, "Man, I need his opinion on some of this stuff." So, I may be calling for that. I may be calling for that. Yeah, they're like a tactical team. Yeah. Yeah, like, that's what he was in. He was in, like, the tactical like, he did the whole deal because like, and he had, like, a lot of clearance and stuff too. Because I remember they're married, and she's just as sleuthy, though, and I was talking to her about Vincent for, like, 3 minutes, and she had, like, already had him up on, like, Google Earth, like, all this and that, and didn't even tell her, like, anything about him. I don't even think I told her his last name. That's how good my friend is. She should work for the FBI. By golly. Is everyone comfortable? They can't get comfortable tonight. Someone said that Born Betty was on her way to Tennessee, but court has been postponed, is the rumor. Oh no, it said on the docket today, tomorrow, but I don't know. I will be disappointed if she isn't having court and going to jail tomorrow personally. Yeah, no, she we're gonna look that up real quick. It like comes right up when I go to type in Sumner County. Um, it does usually take me a minute to find it though. Okay, so let's search because she has like so many, like 9, but some of them are unappealed. So I think it's the second one down. Nope, not the second one. We did look at it earlier today. Status date, filing date. Okay. I'm like, we want to know. We want to know what's going on. I'm clicking like all the ones but hers, I think. This one is not her. Okay. I'm like going through all the filings. Am I not clicking on the right one, y'all? Okay, those ones are appealed. I know it's not an appealed one. Here we go. Hearings. Sorry about that. It was the last one that I clicked on. Let's see. Maybe you're right. Let's see. What's tomorrow? No. Oh, you're right. Oh, you're right. This has changed. Let me pull this up for you all. Let me put me down here at the bottom. So you see where it says continuance granted, and they will continue. And I told you this in the beginning, they will get as many continuances as they are allowed to get until the judge finally says, if you don't come back to this state, we won't put you in jail. So yeah. Yeah. So you were definitely right. You're definitely right. Yeah. It says right here that it's continued till January the 8th. So after the holidays and all that stuff. Which to me it's kind of messed up in a little ways. It actually it's really jacked up because I've known people to come home, not even be from the town that they've had like a little war in or something, and I've seen them be taken out of places for something way smaller than this. And they're going to let her just have the holidays with the whole fam. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, you got us all worked up in the chat tonight. No court. No. That's what it looks like. It looks like they went ahead and continued it. Her lawyer must have sent a little letter or went down and said, can we continue this? I'm not ready. Or, because I think that Frizzle was off the books. She has a new one. Maybe he's trying to use that as an excuse. But a lot of times when it's cases like this, they'll continue. They try to keep continuing it. Just like when you're like, going to court for like murder or something. They try to continue, like, no, they don't continue it, but you know what I mean? They try to like do all these things to like keep it going. So maybe Everett have the holidays with her mom and pup. Yeah. Get things in order. Wow. Well, we'll have to let some people know then, I guess, huh? I know there's a couple people that had streams tomorrow. I was gonna stream, but then I was thinking maybe I won't stream and I'll just go on like panel, like on someone else's panel or something, and you know, because I knew other people would be streaming. But yeah, we know Queen Bee will be streaming. I know Jays for Justice was streaming because I saw her stream earlier. Woo wee. Well, thank you for letting us know. Because I mean, I would have been mad if I woke up early and was sitting in this chair at like 8:30 in the morning waiting on Betty to go to court, and Betty never went to court. I wonder if Betty even said anything about court. Now look at us. We're not even on we're not even on the right case yet, but we'll get there, guys. We're not even on the right one yet. It's been a crazy ride anyway. See, because she streamed this live one day ago, so I thought she was on her way. And then 2 days ago, nothing. So she's not gonna be there with dog to search? I mean, you know. No, Mike, so there's no court for Betty tomorrow. January 8th might happen. If they can continue it again, they'll try. Wow. We've been waiting for this for a while too. Why don't you just get it over with? I would just got it over with. Just get it over with. You know? Like, yeah, no, I mean I looked it up and it said continuance granted till 1/8. So January the 8th. Man. So they can continue it. They won't continue it for very long. It just depends on the judge, really. Um, I would say by January, she should have her crap together and be able to be in court for this. And if she does try to pull something like, oh, I need another continuance or something like that, the judge will say, like, he may be like, okay, yeah, I'll give you one more, but this is the final one. Or no, you're not getting another one. You better be ready in 5 minutes. But wow, okay. Well, Betty, you got lucky this time. You'll be able to see your puppy for Christmas. That's good. I mean, you know, I, I feel bad for her mom having to take care of her dog, like her responsibility. You know what I mean? Like that's her responsibility, not her mama's. But the judge ordered prosecutors to, and this is in the Diddy case, so we'll kind of switch tactics here. Two people that aren't very cool. Judge orders prosecutors to destroy notes seized from Sean Combs' jail cell. So, like I was telling you guys earlier, in October there was a raid through the whole jail. Like the whole jail was raided. I'm pretty sure it was the whole place, and they were just looking for contraband. They were looking for, rugs, weapons, anything like that, hooch, whatever you could find. When they were doing that, apparently they went into Diddy's or Sean Combs' cell, and they either took pages, or I know that they photographed pages for sure, like 9 different pages they photographed, and then they could have taken some with them. So that's why they're saying that it needs to be seized, destroyed. Apparently they weren't allowed to do that. Now, in my opinion, when you're in jail, your rights are a little different, when you're in jail. Now maybe the prosecution shouldn't have seen those. Those should have just been probably left at the jail. Like if the jailers read them just to make sure there was nothing like harmful in them. Okay. But that's one thing. And they didn't say anything. They were under gag order or something not to say anything. But I guess they were taking pictures of the photos, or of the writing. So I can kind of see where attorney-client privilege comes into play. I can see that, unfortunately. But he knows that he won. Now it's a big win for him. to get those notes thrown out. I mean, he thinks it is. I just think I think the prosecution hasn't a lot, especially if this is a FBI. This is the FBI. This is federal. This isn't just your local police department. So I think he's going to be in for a treat. I was just reading the chat. Hopefully everything is going great with everybody. Has anyone started decorating yet? Because I see people with their trees out. Like whenever we come home, like you can see it in their balcony. And I'm just like, oh, am I behind the time? Yeah, right. The fact that Diddy is literally tampering and intimidating witness from inside the jail. They should have left him nothing but a damn sheet. Yeah. Well, we don't want the sheet because we want them to lit. You know what I mean? We want the secrets to come out. We don't want them to go Epstein on us or anything. We want everything to kind of come out here. I do anyway. If it's meant to come out, I want it to come out. If the victims don't want their names to be put out there, then they shouldn't have to have their names put out there, in my opinion. Some of these names, especially if you're underage, absolutely not. But yeah, Sean Combs flashed a big smile as he sauntered into court Tuesday, the first time he appeared without shackles around his ankles. The defense sought to have Combs unshackled during his court appearances, and the judge agreed to it. Combs appeared pleased to walk in so freely. He smiled at people in the audience and hugged each of his lawyers. Probably the only human touch that he has, Combs had another reason to smile after Judge Arun Subramanian ordered federal prosecutors to destroy several pages of Combs' handwritten notes they had obtained during from a raid carried out at MDC Brooklyn, where Combs is being held without bail. The government should not be in possession of the 19 pages, Judge Subramanian said at the end of an hour-long hearing. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo held a stack of notepads, folders, and papers that were initially seized from Combs' bunk and pointed out that Combs had handwritten the word legal on them. He argued every page from the stack is subject to attorney-client privilege. Virtually every single thing in these legal pads are matters he discusses with his attorneys. This has been a complete institutional failure. A member of the prosecution team disagreed. Self-labeling something legal does not automatically make it subject to attorney-client privilege. That was going to be my next question. Like, do you just put legal on something? Like, this is my legal pad, like my legal area here in the jail you can't touch, but I guess you can't do that. Self-labeling something legal does not automatically make it subject to an attorney-client privilege, the prosecutor, Christy Slavic, said. The government received these materials through a completely appropriate channel. Prosecutors cited Combs' notes in their argument against granting Combs bail, saying they left a strong inference that Combs had paid off a potential witness. The judge said he would no longer consider the example when he decides whether to release Combs on bail during a hearing Friday. Well, they're going to bring it up. His judges and lawyers, they're going to bring that up. So before we get to Nancy, I was going to want to watch this with you guys. It is I'm like, is this these people have been putting out so much new stuff, it's ungodly. But if they didn't, it's from Law and Crime, and it's just P. Diddy appears in court, and they're just going to go over how he appeared in court today because there's no cameras in there. Unfortunately, for in New York, they don't have cameras, and I don't know if it's in all courtrooms or federal. It has to be all courtrooms because there isn't one for Rex Heuermann either. So they don't have cameras. No cameras are allowed. So we have to rely again on people and their words and the way that they present things and their notes. And that sucks, but that's what we have to work with here. Courts need to get their crap together. They should have all stationary cameras in there built in, just ready to go. They do already. They just put a couple more up. Sorry it's so loud.
All right, welcome back to Law and Crime, everybody. So we are having this special coverage right now of Sean Diddy Combs' case. He was just in that courtroom where there was an issue, a discussion about whether or not the government violated the attorney-client privilege, violated his constitutional rights by improperly taking or photographing material from his jail cell. And at the end of the day, the judge said there is certain material that will now no longer be discussed on Friday when the issue of Sean Combs' bail comes into play. And the issue of whether or not there was an attorney-client privilege violation, that's going to take a little bit more time, could take several weeks. But in the immediate effect is that certain parts of what the government was planning to introduce or argue will not come in on Friday. Now, we are joined by Elizabeth Milner, Law and Crime's very own, who is inside that courtroom, inside that federal courtroom. Elizabeth, talk to us about what the scene was like, the atmosphere, what Sean Combs looked like. Was his family there? Because unfortunately, we don't have cameras. You are our eyes and ears.
I trust her. I like
yeah,
her.
that's right, Jesse. And of course, I brought my handy dandy notebook once again, because as you just mentioned, no electronic devices unless you have a particular permit and an order from the judge are you allowed to bring that inside federal courtroom. So we had to do it the old fashioned way, a pen and paper and a notebook. So I actually got into courtroom or the courthouse, I should say, around 2:15, and thank goodness.
There are courtrooms that won't even let you have a pencil and paper. So I'm glad we got that.
I did, because it really paid off, because it was kind of stacked as far as a lot of press trying to get inside that hearing. And I was very lucky to be able to sit inside the gallery, because a lot of journalists were worried that they weren't even going to be able to make it into the hearing. The hearing was on a completely different floor than it was last time, in a lot smaller of a courtroom, and really lucked out being able to sit in the gallery kind of on the right side, just like I was sitting last hearing in October. But you know, a big difference in this hearing compared to last is Diddy's family wasn't even inside the courtroom. They didn't appear inside court today, likely because this was an emergency hearing and we just got notification of it literally yesterday. So no sign of his sons, no signs of his daughters, no signs of his mother inside that courtroom hearing. But one thing that...
Does anybody know where his mother and his sons and his daughters are? Are they back in the homes that were searched? Or were those, I should know this, but were those homes seized? No, they weren't seized because Diddy's trying to sell them to get out of jail. So I wonder if that's where they're staying. And they couldn't make it because they're in California. I mean, you could always make it still, but they got a private plane.
And I guess I should say it doesn't really surprise me as much anymore, but it is Diddy's demeanor. I was expecting, because his family wasn't here, for him to be a little more somber, a little more defeated in a way, but that is not Diddy. Literally his motto, besides being a bad boy for life, is can't stop, won't stop. And you cannot stop that confidence that he has when he appears inside the courtroom. I was very surprised to see that he had come inside. He had kind of smiled at the gallery. I felt in a way he even made eye contact with me, which was very kind of bizarre in a way, but at the same time, he was just appearing as that confident Sean Diddy Combs that we have seen plenty of times in the images, of course, in the stories that we have covered prior. And again, he was an enamored figure once ago, but you know, you would think that about to be on trial for sex trafficking charges, that he would feel defeated. Being in a detention center for the last 2 months, he would feel defeated, but that was not the case. He appeared very jovial. He was very kind of very focused in the sense.
Well, they're not feeding him peanut butter Sammies over there. He's getting steak with the bone in. So T-bone steaks or whatever they're called. Was that T-bone? He's getting chicken. He's getting fried chicken. He's getting spaghetti meals. I mean, like, the dude's eating like I've never seen any or heard anybody or seen anybody eat in a jail before. And he's by himself with his iPad or whatever he's got, his little device. I'm sure they gave him something to play with. He's got a TV.
Sense of when the defense was making their arguments to the judge, Combs was sitting at the defense table, nodding his head along. He was taking notes. He was passing notes to his defense attorneys. But then at the same time, you could also tell, going back to when he had first come inside that courtroom, was that I think he recognizes that a lot of people are watching him. There's never going to be a moment out of our mouths that we say Sean Combs looked defeated, because again, all eyes are on him. So he's going to make sure everyone is aware that he is in upper or or higher spirits, I should say, as he's kind of battling this very heavy court case. But again, when he was inside that courtroom, he was very laser focused. He was, when the judge was asking about the notes and the whole debacle.
I'm from Ohio.
That was going on
and
about
they're horrible
that.
meals.
Combs appeared very adamant that these were legal notes that were taken. They did violate attorney-client privilege. But again, you know, what else are we expecting from a man other than Sean Diddy Combs?
There's one thing that's so interesting about that description. Two things. One, you know, the first time we heard Sean Combs recently was on that happy birthday call from his family, and he actually sounded on the other line jovial. So I'm not surprised you saying that he kind of has this upbeat mentality. I am very curious about the judge's demeanor. So we were reading kind of the transcript about what the judge was saying, but in your best guess, the way the judge was responding to the prosecution, did he seem annoyed at the prosecution? Did he seem to be more aligned with the defense? Because I mean, based on the transcript, it seemed he was not only open to the defense's accusations, the defense's claims, but he seemed to side with them a little bit. What was his demeanor like?
Yeah, for sure. And you picked that up 1000%, even from outside the courthouse. And it felt that way too. It felt like the judge was very no nonsense. The judge had a lot of follow-up questions for the government and their arguments about what kind of occurred, how it occurred, all of that sort. And so it did appear that the defense was going to get a win in this case. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see how Friday all plays out. But I gather that the judge was very much no nonsense when it comes to kind of siding with the defense on whether or not that Fourth Amendment and that attorney-client privilege was violated. And I thought for a second there, the government didn't sound as kind of put together as they should have been, because in this case, when you're dealing with somebody like Sean Diddy Combs, you have to cross your T's, dot all your I's, and make sure your ducks are in a row. So I was actually kind of surprised at the government's arguments of everything that kind of occurred, where it was either that, you know, they didn't feel the defense needed to hear or see these types of items. They didn't feel that they needed to be in their possession. And so the judge kind of called them out on it. And I was very surprised that, you know, thinking that the defense would get a win in this argument, but we're going to continue, to wait and see how this all plays out, especially on Friday.
Yeah, it's interesting because maybe the prosecution wasn't prepared, because this was kind of an emergency hearing requested by the defense. They were probably making sense of what had happened themselves with the filter team and investigator one from the Bureau of Prisons who obtained this material from Sean Combs' jail cell. But look, interesting development. We're going to cover more on Friday. Elizabeth Milner, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jesse.
Now, again, we're going to be on Friday is when we're going to have this bail hearing, and we're going to do the same kind of coverage, because I think that
third or
is going to be
third or fourth bail hearing. I mean, what they're going to say is they let old dude out. Like, he's really old. I can't remember his name. The Abercrombie guy. I don't remember his bail, but it's in the hundreds of thousands. But he got out. Crimes could be similar in nature. I mean, I think Diddy did a little more, but they may be like, why are you letting this guy out, but you're not letting him out? I don't know. I don't know if it'll work.
Interesting. I want to get some final perspective right now from Natalie Winningham-Burrell, criminal defense attorney. Your final reaction to the day's events, and also what we can anticipate on Friday with the issue of bail.
I think that we should prepare to be surprised with bail on Friday, because although it is more likely than not that Diddy will remain to be held, he now has an avenue for release. And my major impression here is that the prosecution made a huge mistake in intercepting that attorney-client privilege communication. They could have had that clean team.
They're going to say, we want him out because we can't even be in here with you guys because we don't trust y'all no more.
The raid, and then hand over all the items to the court so the court can make a determination of what's attorney-client privilege. They didn't do that. And I think that's why Elizabeth is expressing that they were kind of caught flat-footed. They made a big strategic error here by doing that. And so I do think there will be some more ripple effects from that.
And clearly it is at least a little bit negatively impacted them going into the bail motion on Friday. Natalie Winningham-Burrell, thank you so much for coming on. Always great seeing you.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for having me.
Now, as I said, we're going to cover this on Friday, but before I do, I have a very special announcement for you as well. If you're looking for a deep dive on the Sean Diddy Combs case, well, guess what? You need to be subscribed to Wondery Plus because Long Crime is going to be launching a brand new podcast.
No, I'm not doing Wondery Plus again, sir. That stuff cost me like $20 or $40 for like a year or something. I paid that. I kept forgetting to unsubscribe. I subscribe to too much crap for y'all. I do. I'll be like, oh, I want to watch this podcast with them or like, documentary. So I'll just do like the free trial. But I forget to unsubscribe from the free trial. So that's what we should do. Every time I'll be like, hey, I did a free trial. And then you guys make me at the end of the live, get on there and unsubscribe. Because the worst one was, what's that guy's name? I've got his book under here. You know him talking about with the Idaho 4. He was the worst. Howard Bloom. His is like $70 a year for that magazine. No one's reading that for $70 a year. Nobody's reading that. Idaho Statesman, I did it there too. I'm telling you, I've done it a lot of places. So I found this as I was snooping around, as Nancy would say, as I was looking for content, as Miss Nancy Grace would say. And I didn't realize that she is on a new network. So we knew that she was going to the Dr. Phil like network or whatever, but I kind of forgot about it. And to be honest, I just forgot about it. Well, she's there and she does these exclusive digital extras. So I thought we would go over the one for Sean Combs tonight, and their videos. They're not like podcast, but she's done them for Delphi. She's done them for Brian Kohlberger. She talks with Kaylee's dad. I don't remember this interview at all. Like, I might have to play it for you afterwards and like play a little bit of it and see if you guys remember it, because I don't remember it all. So I think that these are all brand new to us. Stuff that we haven't seen. Now, some of the cases we don't follow, but some of them we do. So I don't know. I just was like, very interesting. So, okay. So, and they're very short too. They're not like very, very short, but they're like under 20 minutes. So it's not like, too much. Or it's either that or she splices them together and gives us like one episode. But I don't think that's what it is. I think it's one like smaller episode. She be working hard. Did she just cough? Did you hear that? Or is that part of the music? Okay, she's like clearing her throat or something, I think. I think she's not on mute here. I'm going to go back one more time. If you guys hear it, I swear I hear something. Right there. That's okay. I think that's what it is, though. Yeah, wasn't there something going on Busby too? Let me see. Yeah, I found it. Oh, hold on. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it does that. It does that all the time. I hate that. Like if I skip to another page instead of like going all the way out. I hate you, StreamYard. You're not supposed to do that. I'll take it back. Okay. So I swear she's clearing her throat. So I'm going to have you guys listen to this again. But it's like right in the beginning of the music. It's like the first like 10 seconds in. Did you hear it? I'm pretty sure she was clearing her throat.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs. There's a lot of names. It's a long list already. But because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name are names that will shock you.
Welcome to our MSM Mare Street Media exclusive on Sean Puffy Combs, aka Diddy, with me an all-star panel. This, as more federal charges apparently are looming. Joining me, crimeonline.com investigative reporter Sydney Sumner. The grand jury met last week, and we have no reason to suspect that they have stopped meeting. Hold on, Sydney. First to Joshua Ritter, high-profile criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, host of Courtroom Confidential on YouTube. Joshua, please explain how a grand jury can go for one day, a week, a month, or months.
Yeah, they sit in an open session and they can continue to go back and revisit with them if they get new information. So they'll put some testimony in front of them, come back later with a new witness. It's all to preserve testimony, but ultimately with the goal of perhaps bringing more charges. I mean, listen, things are bad. He's got an exposure of life in prison, but it might even get worse from there because it looks like people are coming out of the woodwork. People are no longer fearful and people are willing to testify against this man. And there very likely might be more charges.
You know, a grand jury, and I think you'll agree with me on this, Joshua Ritter, has two functions. One, an investigative function where they may meet for a period of months, gathering information, subpoenaing documents, which is a subpoena ducis tecum, subpoenaing witnesses to come before them. And at the end, there may be no charges at all. That is called an investigative grand jury. Or the grand jury's second function is to charge, rendering a true bill of indictment or a no bill of indictment. Would you agree those are the two functions of a grand jury, investigative and charging?
Absolutely. A grand jury's purpose is to put people under sworn testimony, to preserve that. If they're going to use that then just to gather information or investigate, as you said, or perhaps at the end of that, they pose a question to them on whether or not they're going to bring an indictment against this person. And in this case, I think given that he's already indicted, it might be leaning towards that latter.
Agree. That's a big indicator, Joshua Ritter. You're showing off your legal expertise. Josh, the fact that we've already gotten one charging document in the form of a federal indictment, an extensive federal indictment.
Yeah, 40 pages or something.
It leads me to believe you are correct, that this is just not gathering evidence and subpoenaing witnesses. There will be additional charges. That is called a superseding indictment, where a current indictment standing in place is added to or revised. Now, to Sydney Sumner, again, crimeonline.com investigative reporter.
See if they've done anything like that.
Do we have any indication that the grand jury is finished?
Absolutely not, Nancy. The latest testimony was extremely shocking. Those possible sex tapes with those A-list celebrities, it really seems like there is just more and more evidence and allegations coming against Combs. And we think the feds are going to use every single thing they can to keep this man behind bars.
Back to Joshua Ritter, she's right. A witness, Burgess, appeared before the grand jury, the secret federal grand jury, and then immediately gave a press conference after. Oh, bad move. In that presser, he alluded to the fact that he had videotapes, don't know if he presented them at the grand jury or not, that included or depicted A-list celebrities. His words, not mine. I don't know what A-list celebrity means to him. But that said, could you explain what an unindicted co-conspirator means?
Yeah, many times in these investigations with the grand jury,
like a proffer,
they will realize that
give
other
someone a
people are
proffer
involved and other people played a role and they were co-conspirators in this kind of theory of liability. They're active participants in this, but they're unindicted. In other words, the government has not brought charges or chosen to, for the time being, not bring charges against these people. And that's how they will be identified in the proceedings that are released to the public moving forward as an unindicted co-conspirator.
To Dr. Bethany Marshall, psychoanalyst joining us out of LA, author of Deal Breaker. You can find her at drbethanymarshall.com online, and you can see her on Peacock right now. Dr. Bethany, standing by and watching a crime occur, That's not prosecutable. In our country, no one has a duty to act, to be a good Samaritan, to be a do-gooder, a whistleblower. You don't have that duty, and you cannot be prosecuted for not acting. While many of us believe a failure to act is horrible, to stand by and let a horrible crime occur right in front of you and do nothing, it's still not prosecutable. But when this guy Burgess comes out and says, hey, I've got a video showing A-list celebrities with Diddy while he is committing a crime, do you believe that if that were to be exposed, people would turn against those celebrities? You think they're going to, I mean, look what happened to Johnny Depp during the claims of domestic abuse. He couldn't get a Hollywood contract if he went out and put it in a bag. It was not going to happen.
Right. That's right. Yes, because the public will be quite critical towards anybody they think of as acting things out with Sean Diddy Combs. And from a psychological perspective, not a legal one, we human beings act things out all the time that we regret later. My patients come into my office all the time telling me things they did, and then upon examination, what they did was toxic or dysfunctional.
Look at who he's wearing
to another human being. So I can envision.
Like, you're a billionaire, and you're going to pick this cheap looking crown to wear on your head in this leathery Santa Claus draped looking outfit. Look at this one's almost as bad as the striped one. That's how I hate the striped one. That's how much I hate it. But no, this one is just as bad. This one is bad. This one is like he woke up and he chose everything. What the hell is that? And that could be used for saying, like, that could definitely be used as for Christmas as well. So you could, do a double with that. Who would let you just sit there like that? Who was in charge of you at this time?
Vision celebrities being there and not just standing by, but participating in some way, rationalizing it, thinking that it was okay. When the public finds out who these celebrities are, Nancy, they are going to be critical, and their agents, their managers, the people in these celebrities' lives may not want to book gigs for them anymore. I have celebrities in my office who have done some pretty horrible things. They couldn't get work after that. Everyone wanted to distance themselves from the bad acts.
So what is happening behind closed grand jury doors? What are they mulling? Now, we know witness Burgess was called, according to him, but could they be investigating a Jared Fogle type claim? Listen.
Prosecutors claim the Diddy Freak-Offs participants were coerced or blackmailed into performing, and some women were transported across state lines to take part. The organizer of the Freak-Offs says Diddy never asked about the ages of the participants. It was a don't ask, don't tell game. Diddy's Freak-Off organizer claims he never stayed around for the actual Freak-Off and claims he has no idea the girls were expected to have sex with people.
Okay, as you will recall, to Chris McDonough, not only former homicide detective, but former Vice detective, now star of The Interview Room on YouTube. Chris McDonough, Jared Fogle had been up to all sorts of criminal behavior, but what got him in the end was the crossing of state lines to have sex with minors. Even put them up at fancy hotels in New York City so he could have sex with them. And of course, there's all the receipts, there's the travel documents, you name them, you name it. So could that be what's happening here? Because once you say cross state lines, and we have already heard allegations that he would bring sex workers across state lines to attend these parties. So could that be an avenue of a grand jury indictment?
Absolutely, Nancy. I mean, the fact that this now could turn into a bigger Fed case. You may have individuals testifying, from what they call ICAC teams, Internet Crimes Against Children, If they find out on some of these videotapes through testimony that, there are children involved in this, i.e., that list of kids from earlier than 9, et cetera. So this is a very fluid investigation. But remember, his role in this thing is all about fear. And I think his defense team is going to play that rather, slick. For those folks who may be on video, including those children.
Following up on what Chris McDonough just said, veteran vice and homicide detective Joshua Ritter with me, high-profile criminal defense attorney. Josh, the victim doesn't even have to be a minor. If we have, for instance, transporting or facilitating or paying for sex workers, prostitutes, male and female, to cross state lines to attend a freak-off, crossing that state line for a crime is a federal offense.
Oh, that ain't gonna be good, because we
You're
all know he did that.
Right. That's why DHS is the one.
We all know he's probably done that a time or 2 or 100. Brought prostitutes from other states. Oh,
who's leading this investigation? They're the ones who investigate sex trafficking, crossing state lines for these purposes of prostitution or exploitation. And I also agree that he has been operating with this level of power and fear. And after that first indictment, once all of these people, his victims, people who were afraid to come forward before now, saw that the government was taking this seriously, that he was indicted on very serious charges, I think they all feel comfortable to come forward now. That's why we're having this new grand jury, is people are finally saying that they don't fear this man and his retaliation any longer.
Well, another issue, Joshua Ritter, is credibility. Do you really believe that sex workers he allegedly imported across state lines to be part of freak-offs with unconscious women, you think they're going to stand by Diddy and back up his story that everything was consensual? Oh no, they're like rats on a sinking ship. They're going to jump ship.
Right. Absolutely. They may have been victimized themselves. And if they weren't, there's absolutely no loyalty lost here between them, his co-conspirators, and Diddy. That everybody can see he's going down in flames, and nobody wants to be around to get any of the fallback from any of that.
There's been like 2 people, I think, that's come out to talk for him.
And Joshua Ritter, I can tell you, one of the attacks on these alleged sex workers is going to be, why should we believe you? You're a sex worker. That's BS. I've put many a prostitute up on the stand as a witness. And I tell the jury up front, who do you think knows about this murder? A nun, a priest, and a virgin? My favorite. Of course not. It's people that hang around with the defendant. And just because they're a prostitute, just because they're a sex worker, does not mean they didn't see what they say they saw. So you got to confront that credibility issue up front in your opening statements, if that's what is even happening right now behind closed doors of a grand jury, a secret grand jury, after one of the witnesses went out and had a press conference after. Or is this about a murder case? Listen.
Tupac Shakur's family has now hired lawyer Alex Shapiro to investigate any possible ties between Diddy and Tupac's murder. Alleged orchestrator Dwayne Keefe D. Davis has long claimed Diddy put out the hit on the West Coast rapper just 2 years after an attack on Shakur in New York. Shakur was shot 5 times as he tried to enter a studio where Combs and Biggie Smalls were recording. In an interview after his recovery, Tupac made it very clear that he thought Diddy was behind the robbery.
And there are recorded statements implicating Combs. Listen.
That's crazy.
He said he'd give us anything for them dudes there. He said it in front of all the people. I couldn't believe it. Whole room full of Crips. He'll wipe their out quick. It's nothing.
Who brought up the amount of $1 million?
He did.
Puffy did?
Yeah. The bros Tupac. I was like, there they go. Made the U-turn, pulled up on the side, checked every car, see where they was.
Biggie ever involved in any of these conversations about his Tupac? It's always just Puff and Zip.
Yeah. This is all Puffy's doing.
Yeah.
You were just hearing tapes of what would be a
Wow.
co-conspirator pointing at Combs as ordering the hit on Tupac Shakur. Of course, that has not been subjected to cross-examination. Or could the grand jury be meeting about that ill-fated club shooting that was attended by J-Lo?
Somebody called Diddy and started talking crazy. Signed into Bad Boy, I became a millionaire.
Bad Boy was very much like a family for a very long time.
At this point, I'm with Puff all the time. I go to Club New York, we hanging out, and I think we're
I was
getting
gonna
ready
play
to
this
leave.
for you
And then
guys.
you hear,
Police are questioning entertainers
I was gonna play this for you guys, but I don't think at the time it was out.
Sean Puffy Combs and Jennifer Lopez following a shooting at a nightclub.
I had nothing to do with a shooting in this club.
Puff couldn't handle going to jail. Every man for himself.
Puffy got acquitted and he got 10 years.
He was betrayed.
I was absolutely set up to be the fall guy.
That from our friends at Hulu. Of course, the grand jury could be meeting about claims of pink cocaine, it's called, being used at parties unknown by some of the recipients. Pink cocaine is not cocaine. It's a form of ecstasy type drug. Dr. Dwayne Hendricks is joining us, former associate warden at MDC, where Combs is
Pretty
currently
much.
housed. Dr. Hendricks.
Yeah, Betty's not going to court tomorrow. So her lawyer somehow got her continuance on it. So January the 8th.
We were talking about the credibility of people allegedly in those tapes that Burgess went out to press her about. We were talking about sex workers that could be called witnesses for inmates. Inmates do not have loyalty to each other. Don't you know an inmate would take an order modification in sentencing, a lesser sentence, in exchange for testimony about incriminating evidence they see or hear at MDC?
Absolutely, and I've seen it on several occasions, different pretrial facilities that I've worked at. So depending on where he's being housed and whether incarcerated persons that he may be around, whether it be orderlies or other incarcerated folks, I know some of them would love to kind of buddy up with him and listen and have conversations and see what he has to say. And of course, and there are always informants on the inside as well. So he'll have to be very careful about what he shares and what he says, especially if some of those incarcerated folks have had any associations with any of those folks that may have been at these alleged parties.
You know, Dr. Dwayne Hendricks, here's the thing. When you put an inmate on the stand, you know the other side is going to tear them to shreds. You've been convicted of this, you're in jail for that. But that doesn't mean they are not in a position to hear and see probative, which means prove something, evidence. So do I think the feds may call an inmate? Sure, why not?
Well, and here's the other thing. If there's some credible information that incarcerated person may have, they have what we call the Office of Special Operations, Office of Enforcement Operations through the DOJ, and someone may end up maybe wearing a wire. It just depends on what information they have and how credible it may be. So that is quite a possibility.
Oh,
and
Hendricks. I like the way you think. I just thought of a wire. We wait as justice unfolds, and remember, that grand jury is still meeting. Goodbye, friend.
Okay, so let me show you. Hold on, Nancy, don't do anything crazy on me. Where I've found it. So if it's a little bit better to see a visual. These are all of her hearings that she's had so far. Oh, my camera's not on. These are all the hearings that Betty's had so far. So tomorrow was supposed to be 11:20 at 9 a.m. She was supposed to have a criminal and emotions hearing right here. See those? Continuance granted until 1/8 for a criminal hearing and then emotions hearing. So she will not be driving to there unless, she won't be driving over there unless she's going to be going to look for Sebastian or something, which I doubt that's what she's going to be doing. what was I going to show you next? I wanted to show you guys this letter that they wrote. So this is after the court proceedings today. This is Agnifilo. This is Sean Diddy Combs' attorney. And he wrote, can't even speak now. He wrote the judge a letter. So Judge Sub Uramian, I can't even say his name. We're going to call him Judge Sub Romanian. That's just a long last name. The defense writes this letter in advance of today's hearing. I guess it was before. And in response to the government's letter of November 18th, 2024, the government's letter, let me see here. Okay. The government's letter only reinforces the fact that the government has committed an egregious, willful, and harmful breach of the attorney-client privilege and has become privy to defendants and defense counsel's trial strategy, including areas of expert testimony, witness strategy, and other confidential matters. Number one, the materials provided to the defense counsel. Defense counsel has been provided with 19 pages of materials seized from Mr. Combs' locker at MDC. According to the government, these 19 pages were given to and are in the possession of the trial team, which has already started using these privileged materials to its advantage, including its opposition to bail. Based on the materials provided as Exhibit A, it appears a government investigator, Investigator 1, took photographs of several different items. These include intact pages from 2 different legal pads, pages of an address book, a ripped out folded over page of a 3rd legal pad, a ripped out page of another legal pad, and a ripped out page of yet a different legal pad, as well as described below. Lots of paper. The first page is a page from a folded over intact legal pad. The second page is a copy of the first page, but is partially enlarged. Pages 3 through 11 are pages of an address book. The 12th page appears to be the first page of a second legal pad. The 13th page is a second photograph of that same page or a different Xerox copy of the same photograph. That's confusing. Pages 14, 15, and 16 appear to be folded over pages of the same intact legal pad. Doesn't seem like they got anything. Page 17 is a single folded piece of paper removed from yet another legal pad. This legal pad has 3 vertical lines down the left side, whereas the other 2 legal pads had 1 line down the left side. Page 18 is a single sheet of paper ripped out of a legal pad. Page 19 appears to be ripped out single sheet of a paper from a 4th legal pad. Okay. The legal pad has no vertical line on the left side. Also, this legal pad has 21 lines, whereas the first 2 legal pads had 35 lines. What are they saying? They switched out the pads? Based only on materials provided, it appears that the investigator took photos of more than only the notebook and address book as represented in the government's November 18th, 2024 letter. Rather, he appears to have taken photographs of the pages of several legal pads, both pages that were intact in the legal pad, as well as the loose pages. Okay. It bears reminding that these clear written statements of the defendant were not provided to the defense as part of the government's discovery or Brady obligations. If it were not for the fact that the government used portions of these privileged materials in an effort to hold Mr. Combs in jail, we would never have them or even know about them. Ooh. He might be getting out, y'all. I don't know. Yeah, you're going to need more than that, but that's, I mean, not being able to talk to your attorney because you feel like people are listening in and, I mean, stealing your stuff. I don't know. The notes are obviously privileged. Well, we don't know that. Of the 19 pages provided to counsel, 11 pages are Mr. Combs' notes to and with his attorneys or lawyers. These notes reflect actual conversations with his attorneys concerning aspects of his trial preparation and his efforts to be released on bail. The notes refer to defense counsel by name, include discussion of defense experts and witnesses, discuss cross-examination and credibility of witnesses, and overall defense strategy. Mr. Combs' handwritten notes covering legal strategy are now in the hands of the trial prosecutors, who hope to take advantage of the breach they committed to better prepare for the May 2025 trial, bring new charges, and argue for Mr. Combs' detention. I personally think they wouldn't have him there if they didn't have enough to put him there in the first place, though. This is the federal government that we're talking about, you know. Mr. Combs keeps his legal materials in his locker. His notes are in the form of a number of legal pads, several of which the government has photographed, as well as loose pieces of paper on which he takes notes. On top of his legal pads and notes, he has a folder marked legal. This is to put anyone on notice that everything along with the folder marked legal is exactly what it says: legal attorney-client materials that he brings to his meetings with his lawyers to prepare his investigative and his trial strategy. When he finishes meeting with his lawyers, he brings his legal materials back to his locker, where they are kept with the clear warning written on the folder, and these are his legal materials. So when Investigator 1, who we will get to in a minute, saw a manila folder marked legal, this was his cue that all the legal pads and loose pages of legal pads that accompanied it were Mr. Combs' legal materials. Okie dokie. And thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you. If the warning legal wasn't enough, the notes are obviously legal materials that he discusses with his lawyer. They repeatedly refer to his lawyers by name. On the 14th page, he writes about, it's redacted. He wrote, redacted, "It is hard to imagine a more self-evidently privileged conversation than a trial lawyer telling a defendant about and redacted, and the defendant writing it down in his legal materials because it's so important." On the same page, Mr. Combs wrote about redacted, "This is Heartland trial strategy being expressed in detail in notes of conversations between Mr. Combs and his lawyers. The fact that the government investigator, government tank team, and the entire prosecution team viewed this and still believe they could keep the notes and use them against Mr. Combs is unfathomable. Worse still, that the government took notes directed to his lawyer to redacted in preparation for trial, and then use these notes as a basis for claiming that he was attempting to tamper with witnesses is astonishing. As discussed above, the notes are replete with discussions of legal strategy between Mr. Combs and his lawyers, all of which should have been obvious to anyone who looked at those notes: Investigator 1, the tank team, and the trial team. Number 3, that the government did not inform defense counsel that it had been Mr. Combs' notes is evidence that the government is acting willfully. As noted, the government did not produce these notes on the defendant's own statements to the defense as part of its discovery obligations. The opening paragraphs of Federal R. Criminal P-16 require that the government to disclose defendant's written or recorded statement to the defense. One would think this would be especially urgent when the written statements at issue are in the form of the defendant's own handwritten notes that were taken from his cell and which reflect specific conversation he had with counsel. But the government did not produce these in discovery, nor did the government's tank team established for precisely this type of situation contact counsel and advise counsel that it was in possession of defendant's handwritten notes as part of the hearing, and to determine what sanction is appropriate for this egregious, self-evident, privileged breach. Defense counsel wants to know exactly how the decision was made and by who to not contact defense counsel when the United States Attorney's Office came into possession of these notes. Ooh, yeah. The government explanation of how it took these notes is riddled with self-contradiction and lacks common sense. They shouldn't have taken the damn notes. The government referred to Investigator 1, whose role in these events is as mysterious as it is contradictory. The government states that Investigator 1 was assigned by the Bureau of Prisons to participate in the sweep and that he is not part of the government's investigation of the defendant. Yet the government also states that the Investigator 1 has consistently monitored the defendant's communications. The government also states that it has sent grand jury subpoenas and documents requests to the BOP for the defendant's monitored communications. The letter is silent as to which BOP officials the prosecutors work with in connection with its efforts to secure defendants' monitored communications, but it would appear that the prosecutors work with, among others, Investigator 1. Under the circumstances, the hearing should encompass what connection exists between the prosecution team and Investigator 1. Yeah, if there's a connection. Second, the government writes that the BOP sweep was pre-planned, not in response to any particular threat or intelligence, and did not target Combs. However, the government also writes that there was nothing improper about Investigator 1 taking the photographs because Investigator 1, who had reviewed the defendant's calls and emails, was entirely justified in inspecting the defendant's assigned bunk to recover additional evidence. The government's position is immediately self-contradictory because the review of a particular inmate's calls and emails is intelligence, and because acting on that intelligence in order to conduct a particular search is targeting Combs. The government's own letters show that Combs was treated differently from other inmates and that the search of his locker and the removal of his notes was based specifically on the intelligence that Investigator 1 developed from listening to his calls and reading his emails. Well, Diddy, you put yourself there up on that high horse, you know? You put yourself up there. I'm just saying. He should be treated like everyone else, though. Third, the BOP sweep was purportedly related to removing contraband at the facility. The release goes on to state the combination operation identified and confiscated a number of electronic devices, rugs, and associated paraphernalia, and homemade weapons. Yet Investigator 1 apparently used the sweep to pretext to conduct a target seizure of Mr. Combs' handwritten notes about conversations with his lawyers. Tellingly, Investigator 1 did not report that he had identified and confiscated Sean Combs' notes of conversation with his lawyers to supervisors of the multi-agency law enforcement operation. He went straight to the prosecution team. Ooh. Oh, that's not probably the best thing to do. So they're saying that this guy went in and confiscated his notes, took pictures of his notes, and instead of like going and giving them to his like sergeant or something, he went straight to the prosecution team and was like, here, look at these. Look what I found. Look what I got. Yeah, the prosecution team should have probably just shut him down right then and there. The prosecutors have taken the position that the identification and photographing of Sean Combs' handwritten notes were merely part of a multi-agency sweep to rid the MDC of drugs, electronics, and homemade weapons. There are ways of proving such a contention. We can call Investigator 1 to the stand at a factual hearing. A hearing should encompass what else Investigator 1 told the prosecution team about the legal materials he rifled through. At a hearing, we could ask Investigator 1 why he called the trial prosecutors, what contact had they had beforehand, how did Investigator 1 know which notes to photograph? Did Investigator 1 photograph any notes aside from the 19 pages defense counsel was provided yesterday? What, if any, direction did Investigator 1 have from the agents conducting the pre-planned law enforcement initiative, or was he taking direction from someplace else? The bottom line is there is no multi-agency law enforcement initiative justified rifling through Mr. Combs' personal handwritten notes of conversations with his lawyers. And the prosecutor's arguments to the contrary lack credibility. Okie dokie then. Number 5. The evidence shows there was a law enforcement plot to photograph Mr. Combs' notes, have the Taint team not advise counsel, and use these plainly privileged materials to keep Mr. Combs in jail and to gain an unfair trial advantage. Do people... I don't think the police and these investigators, they want to be doing all this right now. You know, I think they much rather that Sean Diddy Combs didn't do any of this shit so they didn't have to put any of this evidence together. But, you know, that's how they always write it like this. It's just like, the poor me. Before Friday evening at 11:30 p.m., defense counsel knew none of this. It was not until the government attached 2 pages of the defendant's handwritten notes to a letter to keep him in prison that defense counsel learned for the first time that over 2 weeks earlier, Mr. Combs' notes were photographed and provided to the U.S. attorney. In the last 4 days, several things have become clear. First, Investigator 1, who had been monitoring Mr. Combs' calls and emails and was absolutely targeting him, seized upon an opportunity to search his cell. He knew that there was a completely unrelated multi-agency law enforcement measure planned for October 28th, 2024, one related to ridding the MDC of weapons, drugs, and cell phones, and having nothing to do with the inmate's notes of conversations with his lawyers. Because he had been monitoring Combs' conversations, he conducted a warrantless search of Mr. Combs' papers, not looking for weapons, rugs, or cell phones, but for what Combs and his lawyers were discussing and what Combs' trial strategy would be. In a high-profile case such as this, where the defense has been usually outspoken about the lack of meaningful inculpatory evidence, what could be more valuable than photographing defendant's trial strategy with his lawyers? So we photographed pages that where the defendant discussed what types of expert witnesses to call, where he identified witnesses, where he discussed his thoughts about the credibility of the most important witnesses in the case, and other things revealing the defense trial strategy. Once he photographed these pages, he returned the legal pads and other documents to their original location so the defendant would have no idea his handwritten notes had been taken in this manner. I would probably know. Then he called the trial prosecutor in this case to aid in their investigation, and because he knew he had information that would help them defend his trial strategy, laid out in his own handwritten notes whether he revealed to the prosecution team even more privileged information than what is contained in the notes remains to be seen. Next, at the prosecution's team direction, he sent the notes to the U.S. Attorney's Office to the taint team, whose sole purpose is to ensure that attorney-client privilege material is not given to the prosecution team. At no point does the taint team contact defense counsel. At no point does the taint team state that it is in possession of Sean Combs' handwritten notes. At no point does the taint team ask defense counsel if anything in these handwritten notes is potentially privileged. Given that there was an established protocol in place, it is inconceivable this is a mere oversight. Similarly, inconceivable is how the taint team ostensibly trained for to review for privileged material and provide with the names of all defense counsel somehow did not see the obvious privileged nature of the notes. The notes refer to the defense counsel by name, include discussion of defense experts and witnesses, discuss cross-examination and credibility of witnesses, and overall defense strategy. The taint team even recognized that portions of the notes written on the very same page contained privileged information, yet failed to realize the privileged information of the rest of the page. The fact that the prosecution team then received those notes from the taint team and likewise failed to understand what had come into their possession is just as egregious. It's just egregious. They've put that word in here like 4 or 5 times. At some point, the trial team comes into possession of the 19 pages of materials. At no point does the trial team contact defense counsel to state that there are references to particular potential witnesses or to possible areas of expert testimony, or even the fact that Combs specifically writes that redacted. The trial team didn't tell defense counsel any of this for the same reason the team didn't tell the defense counsel, and for the same reason the investigator one targeted Combs and photographed those notes in the first place, because there was a plot to get these attorneys' client material, and once they got them, the first thing they did was use them, specifically use them by putting them in a bail letter to keep Combs in jail. Okay, a fulsome hearing is required. The government's proffered explanation for how it got this information is internally inconsistent and not credible. As a result, a hearing is required. Wow. Yep. So they want a meeting. Okay. Well, that's why they got their meeting today. Then I'm trying to find it here. So there is a guy that's out there, and he's going by John Doe, and that's his pseudonym. He came out this week in Los Angeles Superior Court. He's accusing Tony Busby, the guy that's supposed to have the 120, clients, and his firm of shamelessly attempting to extort sums from him or else publicly file wildly false, horrific allegations against him. Now, I don't know. Now, is this somebody that knows their name's going to come up and they're trying to get ahead of it? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. But let me know what you guys think. I was going to see if I could find that. Documentary. Because he's a politician now. Thought it would be like a good documentary to watch. Maybe I'll have to find it. We'll have to watch it. Okay. Let's see. Did I get all the Diddy info? I think I did. What is today? It's Tuesday. I have to go to the dentist on Thursday. Emergency visit now. I chipped my tooth. I got too excited. I got too excited and I grinded my teeth, and I can't do that. I'm like, man, really? It was just because my cat was looking so cute, and I grinded my teeth. All the Diddy on Diddy, the diddler. Wonder if that guy. I keep looking to see if that guy does any more videos. Diddler TikTok videos. Let me see if I can find any. Because that was funny. That guy was hilarious. I think that he, I don't know if we'll find him, but he does them on other people too. Well, I think everyone's calling him that now, so I can't just type that in. But that was funny. Those guys were hilarious. Yeah, there's so many videos on Diddy. Yeah, because last time I just put this in and it came right up. Well, dang, all you guys, stop putting so many Diddy videos up on here. I need to go over here to laugh. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's not painful. No, it doesn't hurt. It's just a little chip. I my cat's so cute. That's what I told Vincent tonight. I was like, that's my excuse. Now I have to be in Columbus, 8:30 in the morning. Don't worry, I won't be live streaming and driving. I don't do that. But I'll let you know whenever I get up there. Oh, egg rolls. I like the breading on egg rolls. Let's see if there's anything over on the tweeter, the X, whatever it's called. 'Cause I don't even know. You know me. I'll be calling it wrong all the time. A house did explode in Bethel, Ohio, though, today. I'm assuming a gas leak. I saw that earlier. That's pretty scary. Susan Smith's parole hearing is coming up. You know, the one that killed her 2 babies. Ah, man. Do you think you should be able to get out for that? I don't think so. I don't think you should ever see the light of day again if you kill your children. If you kill your children, well, I don't care if it's one, you're done. You're bye. See ya. You should never get out. There's no coming back from that. And how old is she? She better be over the age. She is over the age of have kids. She's like, but you never know because Nancy had hers at 48. But that's how it always ends up being like the person that, you hope they don't have another one and they have another one. They've already had too many. The twiddler on the net. Yeah, the house just blew up. Well, there was a house that blew up in Upper Arlington whenever I lived up there. And that's like a really nice area. And it was a huge mansion. Like, it was a mansion that blew up. And it was a gas leak. So now we have another one that just exploded. Oh, it don't hurt, Ladybug. It doesn't hurt. I did, like, I chipped it, and then they, like, sealed it, and then I chipped the ceiling off, like, but last time she had to numb me there. And I think that did something funny to me. I'm asking if they don't have to numb me. Michael, she does. She does need a surfer full time. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't even believe that I'm seeing it on my timeline. Like that she could be, that she could be getting out. Poor babies. And then, no, she can just stay right on in there. We've got people out on the outside that we need to take care of first. They're in North Carolina. They're in Tennessee, South Carolina. You know what I mean? They're in all they're in our state. We need to take care of them first, and then maybe we'll let Susan Smith out. Or maybe we should just send her to start to rebuild. Yeah, Roxanne. Oh my gosh, the clove oil is the best. Like you guys taught me that one time because I didn't know I have metal in my mouth right here, so I don't feel pain that much. It has to be really, really, really painful. Well, this was really painful. And what it was, it ended up being an infection. And I needed stuff done on my tooth too, but I was putting the clove oil on my tooth though. You remember that one, Michael? I was pretty young when that case happened. I had to have been I was a little kid. I can't remember the exact day it happened. I'm trying to see. 30 years. So she's be released after serving 30 years. Wow. So I'd have been 9. My mama would never. Yeah, 94. Yeah, Roxanne, I was putting clove oil on my mouth and I was still doing lives. I know I do too. I'm going to put her name in again. I was going to say something earlier about Madalena. I think it was on the other live. Look at this. It doesn't. Because in 2 days, it's going to be the last day that she was saw. 2 years. We'll have to do a live over it. So still missing. Has a good little article. Yeah, we'll have to go over it. Every day we were a little bit closer to finding her. Oh, that's what the chief said. I think she's out there. I think she's out there alive. I do. I don't know what it is about that little girl, but I feel it. I really want to find her. Hopefully one day we'll find her. Oh, look, stepfather of missing Cornelia girl files for divorce after jury finds him guilty. I didn't know he filed for divorce already. Huh. Her birthday will be in April. She'll be 14 this year. She was 13 this year. Wow. That's so sad. I know. Summer's another one that's really sad. Oh, her mom is back on her homeland. Back in Moldova. Wish I had a plane ticket to Moldova. I would go over there. Wonder what Diana would do. She won't come to us because she doesn't have to. But what if I went to her? Would she run, do you think, from me? Don't make me start looking up plane tickets. How much is a plane ticket to Moldova? No, that's okay. How much is a plane ticket to Moldova? Woo! They a little expensive. You have to do like multi flights. But like 1,100 to 1,300. I just feel like she could be over there. I don't know how her mom could have got her over there, but I have a feeling she could be over there. I've never had that feeling about a kid, like where I'm like, this one is alive, 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 alive. I know, like, I just feel like I know it. Like, I know. I don't know in my heart. I feel like maybe it's just too heartbreaking to think of the other, you know. But I just feel like she's okay. She didn't get any coverage. She got 0, pretty much. Nobody covered her case hardly. It's sad, but we'll be here covering it. Maybe if we cover it here shortly, people will think it's a new case because they'll see the date and they'll think it's a new one and they'll pick it up. Maybe. You never know. But I'm going to jump off here. Thanks for coming to spend some time with me tonight. I do appreciate it. We did about an hour and a half live tonight. If you didn't catch our live earlier on this other channel and you want to listen to Unfiltered with Tanya, a little more of the unfiltered side to myself, we were over there talking today. So I think we're the only, I think I'm the only person on the platform that hasn't talked about what everyone else has talked about today. If you've been on any other lives, you know what I'm talking about. I'm like, dang, everyone's talking about everybody. Yep, she stepped off the bus, nothing else. Yeah. No, she gets coverage over here. Grandma Kojakari we don't appreciate her, but you know, we'd still be nice. But thanks again for being here tonight. And I will see you guys all tomorrow on our live. I'll probably do one during the day, but I'm not sure what time, time tomorrow afternoon. That way the people that aren't over here on this side of the earth, they can come and see it. And I'll do one, of course, tomorrow night over here on this channel at TitaniumBuilt. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, guys.